Hello, hello, and welcome to Bla Bla Black Sheep, a weekly yarny podcast where I, Sarah Korth of SEK Handmade, answer your yarny questions. And I would love to answer your questions. So there's a link in the show notes where you can ask your questions. I'm open. Ask me about yarn. Ask me about designing. Ask me about getting, extra yarn time in building a yarn community. I'd love to answer all of those things and any of those things. So it's all anonymous and super easy. So check that out. Today I am wearing my poppy shawl. Right now we're in like transition weather where we're having lots of ups and downs. And my favorite thing right now is a tank top and a shawl. I'm really loving it. So this is Poppy. Poppy is what I would call a full-sized shawl, a nice long depth, and a good-sized wingspan. So she's becoming real popular on these chillier mornings where it's not just for pretty, but actually for warmth too. And you know me, I love a good crescent shawl. So she's not flat at the top, but wraps up and around so that she fits really nicely around your body, which is curved and not flat. We are not flat, Stanley. Okay, so let me show you real quick how I was wearing Poppy. The other thing I love about these more open shawls is both that they keep you warm, but they're not too bulky. So I'm going to start with my peak in the center here. And then I'm going to take one side, I'm going to wrap it carefully around to keep it as flat as possible because part of the bulkiness comes just from like scrunching everything up. That guy's going to go under, and then I'm going to take the other side and I'm going to wrap around and in front. Now I'm going to reach to the inside and pull out that tail. So I have both my tails on top, and then I'm just going to take them, and I can do this. I'm going to take the longer one and loop it over the shorter one and pop myself in the chin. And then you've got that nice little tie there. And then, especially if it's chilly, I like to then take this center part and pull it up so that it's like keeping your neck cozy, and then just flatten out the edges here because, you know, that's the real showstopper of Poppy, right? Are these pretty lace border. So, you know, you want that to show. And then it also lays flatter across your back. And there you go. That's how I wear Poppy. What is bringing me joy? Friends, I got a new tattoo. I'm going to put a picture of it up because it's much easier to see, and it will be right side up. And I just got it last week, and so it's in healing right now, which is not the most glamorous part. So I'll put a picture up. I'm absolutely in love with it. I was in heavy debate before I actually got to the studio about if I was going to do partial color, full color, all black and white. And I decided definitely not full black and white because part of it is a bluebird, and I wanted the bluebird to be blue because bluebirds represent creating your own happiness and focusing on happiness. And so I wanted him to be blue. And then I have a bumblebee and a ladybug in there too, and I wanted them to be in color, and then I was like, I think it'll be... Anyways, here's what it came down to. I really appreciate the neutral people, the people who wear like tans and blacks and grays and white all the time and have like those gorgeous floral tattoos that are just black outlines and shading and stuff. But here's the thing. I appreciate that, and it's not me. Maybe you've noticed I like color. And so I decided to go full color. And I love it. I'm excited for it to fully heal. I'm on the upswing. This weekend was the worst. It was peeling like crazy and tight, and I felt like I had to be really delicate with it, but it's starting to feel a lot better and look better. And I love it, and I'm so excited. And the little ladybug is in memory of my mom, and then the pink cone flowers are things that we had growing up. And then there are just some other beautiful flowers and leaves. And then the little bumblebee just reminds me that we're all an important part of this earth and we need to protect it. And I love bees, and I love planting like bee gardens to protect our pollinators because they need our protection. And man, the things we would not be able to eat without pollinators. We just need to save them and not pretend like that's something we can do ourselves. Okay? Bees are good. Bees are good. And they're not as aggressive as people fear they are. This is a tangent. I'm just going to tell you real quick. We have an apple tree. Last Saturday, I was going out before my husband mowed the yard, and I was just picking up apples. And I was walking around barefoot and picking up apples off the ground so that he wouldn't run over them with the lawnmower, because they create a mess and they attract, they're going to attract some animals, but I don't want them to. Anyways, beside the point. So I'm walking around barefoot, picking up apples, putting them into the bag, and I feel something tickle my foot, and I look down, and I had stepped, and a little bee crawled out from under the leaves and grass and just like climbed up on top of my foot. And I was like, "Oh, sorry, man." And he just like flew away. And it was fine. He didn't sting me. I wasn't mad. He wasn't mad. It was an accident. I'm glad he saw that. Anyways, so that's what my tattoo's all about. I got it locally from Jenny, who owns and works at, I think, WiMeraki. It's amazing. She has lots of talented people there. Highly recommend. It is more like the vibe. There's a hair salon as part of it too, but it's more like the vibe of a hair salon. So like very modern and clean, aesthetic. I would hope that all tattoo parlors would be clean because that's important to be sanitary, but like a very like white and wood and plants. It's really gorgeous. It's a super chill, uplifting, light vibe. And everyone I talked to there was just the nicest. So if you're local or if you're coming my way, plan ahead, because this was months in the making, because Jenny was telling me that like the whole pandemic just really threw everything off because stuff just kept getting pushed back. So they, I think, are mostly caught up from that, but like that really affected them. So if you are coming from out of town, you need to plan ahead to make sure you have an appointment. It's not just like a drop in and hopefully somebody will have 3 hours to tattoo you. So, yay. Small businesses. I have several to share with you. I told you a while back that I went to a couple art festivals this summer, and I bought enough earrings to take us through the end of the year. I need to inventory what I've shared to make sure I share them all. And this is one of them. You guys, I'm in love with these. And I bought 2 pairs, one for me and one for my sister. And now I'm like, she doesn't know I have them. Maybe I'll keep those. That is by Pickled Pottery, and I talked to the owner at the Appleton Art Festival when I purchased these. She was lovely, so nice. She has pottery stuff, but she also has lots of gorgeous jewelry pottery, necklaces, earrings, Really lovely. Highly recommend. I was worried because I'm kind of a baby about heavy earrings now that I've got like crochet earrings. But I can wear these all day. They're lightweight enough that they do not bother me. And then I'm drinking from my mug from Cheeky Ceramics. I'll put Rin's information down below. This was a custom order because they're just the nicest. And so I told them what I wanted with the sheep stamps and the colors that I liked, and man, they nailed it. That's my lipstick. But man, nailed the colors. Brings me joy every time I drink out of it. My local yarn shop owner, also named Sarah, just got in a big order of Cheeky Ceramics mugs that are yarn themed. And so I'll put Sarah's information down below too. Check out her Instagram or Facebook if you want to look at the mugs she got in. They're gorgeous. Please go buy them because I want to, and I don't have enough room for mugs. Another purchase at the Appleton Art Festival is this cuff. I saw these leather cuffs and was like, oh, I love it for a couple reasons. A, I love a good shawl cuff, and I thought they'd be great for shawl cuffs. Just a little more like a zhuzhi and fun. And then also they were made, of course, as bracelets, and they have 2 snaps. I have a pretty narrow wrist, and so being able to adjust that was lovely. And so that is by Kimberly Moon Young. I will link all of their information down below as well. And then, my friends, I've been waiting a while to share this with you because I've had so much stuff to share. But I gotta share this with you. I got this project bag. I hope you can see the detail and the gorgeousness here. It's not, the light is not doing it justice. My phone is not quite picking up the beautifulness of it. I'll take a picture though. This is hand woven fabric made into a project bag. I'm obsessed. It's gorgeous. I'm trying real hard not to go on their Etsy shop too often because I just want to buy them all. I was looking this morning just to make sure I was grabbing the name correctly, and I want more. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. Absolutely gorgeous. And then they've added this cute little, it's a felted ball instead of like a pom-pom or a tassel. I love it. I've used it for a whole project. I was actually looking for it sitting out because I forgot that I finished the project that was in here and I put it away. So I've used it, carried it around, I don't know, for probably a month, and it's held up really nicely. I was a little worried that like, oh gosh, I need to be real like tender and delicate with the hand woven fabric, but it's held up really well. You know, I think it's wool, so you know, wool will do that. And this is by Nanette Wake Studios. And again, all of this will be linked below, so you don't have to go search them down. I will get their links for you so that you can just go do the shopping and go check them out. I mean, I know that we all have different budgets. That back to school just happened, which is ridiculously expensive, but you can support these artists by, if they're on Etsy, going to their Etsy shop and liking their stuff, going to their social medias. I will probably link websites for those that aren't on Etsy, and a lot of times if you scroll down to the bottom, this is scrolling down to the bottom of people's websites, they have links to their social media. So go on their Instagram, like their stuff, share it. Now's the time, friends. Now's the time to start obsessively sharing something that you'd like for a holiday gift in hopes that someone notices and purchases it for you. So there you go. All right. Want to remind you, the mystery Cal is coming. My my pattern testers are doing amazing work. I have started, I'm going to be starting my second one. I may need 3. I just might. It's been lots of fun. They're doing a gorgeous job. The mystery Cal, or the M-Cal, mystery crochet along, will happen October 8th through the 29th. There will be options for an in-person class, a virtual class, and joining in the crochet along without participating in a class as well. If you want more details, join my email list, because I send out all the details there and all updates. And I don't know what else I was going to say. Join my email list. Details are coming there. So, there you go. If you have questions, let me know. Speaking of questions, let's answer some questions. All right. Question number 1. I'm going to see if I can bigify my, why isn't it? Okay, never mind. Let's just dive in. I'll like squint at it because my eyes are getting old. Hi, I'm a self-taught crocheter, and while I've made several projects, I don't feel very confident about my skills. The things I've made so far have turned out okay, but I worry that as I get into bigger projects, I might be missing something. What can I do? This is a great question. And I love that this question asker asked the question, because I feel like a lot of times people feel this way and A, don't even realize that they feel this way, or B, don't know where to ask or feel embarrassed to ask, and so they don't ask this question. So thank you if you are the person who asked this question, because not only are you asking it for yourself, but you're also asking it for everybody else who feels the same way you do. So cheers, you're fantastic. Here's the deal. There are lots of self-taught yarn crafters. There are so many videos out there and books that you have a lot of resources to pick something up and try it yourself. And that is wonderful. That is so wonderful, because that means whatever time you have to devote, whatever resources you have to devote, that's what you can use to get started. And that's awesome. But when you reach a point where you're like, okay, I think I have the basics down, but I'm unsure about moving forward, that's an important time to take a little stop. You know that you like the craft, but here's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. I was just working last week with a wonderful lady who had self-taught Tunisian crochet. And so I was showing her some things and talking to her about some things, and she was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And I was like, of course not, because why would you? Because you don't even know it's a thing, so how could you? And so I think it's good, and I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say for everyone who is self-taught, you should take an in-person class. I have had so many crocheters come to my class and have me say, okay, you're not doing that quite right. They're either yarning under instead of yarning over, or they're moving their hook in a funny way that's causing them to create stitches wrong. that happens sometimes. And so it's important to go and have someone who knows what they're looking for watch you crochet. But also, they get a ton of tips that they just didn't even think about. Or they're doing very small things wrong. Like, I don't know why, but I've had several people that when they go to fasten off, instead of just snipping their yarn and pulling it through that last stitch, they chain one and pull it through. And that leaves you with an extra chain just like flopping out, which, especially if you need to like seam things together, then it looks like you've got extra stuff. And so like, is that the end of the world? No. But it's just like a little thing to help you, you know, become a better crocheter. So seek professional help. Here are some places to seek professional help. Go to a local yarn shop. I know that not everybody has a local yarn shop, but if you have a local yarn shop, go there and ask for help. The local yarn shop owner may or may not crochet, and so they may or may not be able to give you help themselves. They might, though, have a crochet teacher. Full disclosure, my local yarn shop owner knows how to crochet. But even if they don't, they might have a crochet teacher that they can send you to for help. Taking a class, not going in just to do one-on-one stuff, but taking a class where somebody can look and see what you're doing and point out maybe some little changes you could make is helpful. Private lessons. So, like I said, I'm working one-on-one with someone for a private lesson, and just little things that she didn't know to think about that have made her fabric just look so much nicer. If you can't get in person, having someone look at your work virtually could be helpful too. So what that might look like is you get in contact with someone who's a crochet professional, and then you send them a video of you crocheting, and then that person can look at it and say, even just say, yep, you're doing everything right, or no, this isn't quite right, or try this a little differently, can be really helpful. The other thing is, my first recommendation is go to a professional, a teacher, someone who has practice looking at people crocheting and guiding them in the right direction. That's like ideal, but I realize that that's not possible for everyone. If you want me to be your crochet teacher, send me a message. We'll work something out, even if we do virtually, because I know lots of people are not local to me. But we'll work something out. But second best is just having somebody who knows what they're doing with crochet look at what you're doing. My mom taught me how to knit, and granted, she was kind of like relearning herself, so that was a challenge in and of itself, as well as the fact that she just didn't know how, she had no experience teaching knitting. So a lot of times she couldn't tell me what my mistakes were. But if you find the right person, a grandma, an aunt, a lady at church, you know, a friend of a friend who's willing to get together with you, they can look at what you're doing and maybe tell you what's going on. So that would be another good way. You know, buy them a coffee, meet at a coffee shop, buy them a coffee, and have them give you a little help. So there you go. I also have a bunch of learn to crochet videos, and my thing, I don't know, it's kind of my thing, is I tend to really in-depth explain things because that's how I learn best. So my instructional videos are not short, but that's because I'm going to show you what to do, and then I'm going to tell you why it's important. And to me, that why it's important is really what A, makes sure you're doing it correctly, and B, cements in your brain how the stitch works. So I'll link those below too if you want to give those a look. But I'm here for you. Crochet teacher is my game, is my jam. It's my thing. I love it. So if you would like to learn some more, let me know. All right, question number 2. This is a good one. They're all good ones. I just gush about all of them because I love them all. I was just reading over a sweater pattern that I bought, and under gauge it says, in quotes, treat your swatch as you will treat your sweater. What does that mean? Do I block my swatch? I've never seen this before. Okay, first of all, whether a pattern says this or not, it is always good advice to treat your swatch how you will treat how you will treat your finished object. And that doesn't just have to be a sweater. So if you are making a scarf and you're being honest with yourself and saying, I'm never going to block this scarf. I probably won't even wash it. I'm going to wear it for a year. I'm going to make a new one next year, and this one will be done. Then your finished item is going to be something that is unblocked. And so when you swatch for that scarf, or if you choose not to swatch and you're looking at your fabric, what it is what it will be. It's not going to change because you don't intend to block it. But if you do intend to block, then you want to do that with your swatch, because blocking can drastically, not always, but can drastically affect the drape, the stitches, all of that. And if you don't treat your swatch like you're gonna treat your final item, so if you're like, yes, I'm right on gauge with my swatch, unblocked, and then you're going to take that scarf and you're going to block it, the likelihood is that that scarf is going to end up a very different size than unblocked. And so you want to be prepared for that. The more you know about how your final project will behave, the better final project you'll have. So not only do I recommend treating your swatch as you're going to treat your final item, but also you need to, I recommend measuring before blocking, and measure like your full swatch. So like say you decide to do a big swatch, which if you're a bigger lady like myself, or if you're very tall, not even very, if you're a tall person, or you're planning on doing like a duster sweater or something like that, the bigger the project, the more important the size of the gauge swatch is, and the bigger the better. So let's say you decide I'm gonna do a nice size gauge swatch. And what I recommend is before you block, take some measurements. Maybe what's your 4x4 gauge, and like how big was the entire swatch. Then block it how you will block it. So if you're going to steam block your final project, steam block your swatch. If you're going to throw it in the washing machine and then like lay it flat to dry, put your swatch in the washing machine and lay it flat to dry. Then measure your gauge, measure the final size of the swatch, and that's going to help give you an idea of how much your fabric will grow overall once you block your swatch. Now, if you are saying to me, I'm not gonna block my whatever, here's my question to you. Do you plan on washing your whatever? Because at some point, you're probably gonna need to wash it, and then blocking is essentially washing. So what I would hate for you to do is have a sweater that you love when it's right off the hook or right off the needles, like fits perfectly. And then you have to wash it because sweaters get dirty, things get spilled on them. You know, you have body oils and whatnot. Always, always recommend washing your woolens before you put them away for the season. It helps keep moths away, which, bad, don't want moths. So be realistic about if you're going to wash it. And if you're going to wash it, you're probably going to want to block. Blocking does not mean stretching, though. So you don't feel like when you block your swatch and or your final project that means just like extending the fabric for as far as it can go. You don't have to do that. You can lay it nicely, and you can even like scrunch a little bit if it's not to the size you want it. Here's the trouble. The weight of the fabric on when it hangs on your body, the weight of the fabric on the rest of the fabric, if that makes sense. So you're wearing a cardigan, it hangs from your shoulders, and if I've got a crop, I've got maybe, I don't know, 17 inches of fabric. I'm just guessing here, I don't really know. But so I'm a short person. From my waist to my shoulder is not a long distance. It's probably longer than I think it is. But, you know, if I'm doing a short little crop, that's not as much, there's not a lot of weight of fabric on the rest of the fabric. So it's not going to stretch it out as much. If I'm doing a duster that goes down below my knees, we're talking feet of fabric from my shoulder to the bottom of my duster. And so if I make my unblocked duster go from my shoulder to below my knee, once I block it and once I wear it with the weight of the fabric pulling on the garment, it's going to stretch, like potentially a lot, depending on your fabric, depending on the stitches, potentially a lot. And so you want to know that that's coming. So if you are concerned about vertical stretching, what I have seen some people do, and I think it's a great idea, is they block their swatch, but instead of laying it flat, they'll take a hanger and they will attach it to the top of a hanger. And then sometimes they'll even attach some clothespins at the bottom to add potential weight of the rest of the fabric so that they can have some idea of how much stretch they're going to have. When you make a garment, the larger the garment is, the more potential it has for stretch. And let's go back to my crop top example. Ugh. If I have a crop top with 0 ease or even negative ease, so something that is made to fit very close to my body, it is going to have more support from my body holding it in place because it's not draping over my body. It's being held close to my body, and therefore my body is helping to keep it kind of in place. But if I do a big oversized crop top that really hangs from my arms and everything, it ends up with more of the weight of the fabric on it. And so in my experience, that's more likely to stretch. So generally speaking, okay, not generally speaking, to be specific, the more knowledge you have about how much stretch you're going to get out of your fabric when you block it, the better you can make decisions about fit as you're working. And as you're working, you can continue to check back in and see, is this going to be a good size? The other thing is, almost always you want your working, like pre-finished garment especially, to be a little smaller than what you want your final project to be, because it is almost always going to grow and stretch in the blocking process. However, I have had some yarns where I have blocked and pinned, and then I take the pins out and the fabric goes whoop, whoop, whoop. But you want to know that before you've got a whole sweater or a giant shawl, and it ends up not being the size you want. So that is why that's important, and that is why that pattern states that, and it is why even if your pattern doesn't state it, you should still do it anyways. So treat your swatch, make a big swatch, and then treat it how you're going to treat your final project, and that is the best recipe for getting the best final project that you can have. So there you go. Bye, friends. It's been lovely talking to you today and answering your questions. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love it if you would like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, share this with a friend who might find this information helpful. Go check out those small businesses. These are all really great makers, and they deserve some love too. Thank you so much for joining me, and happy crafting.